The pattern started when I was 12. My brother Marcus got a brand new MacBook Pro for his birthday. I got a used Dell laptop from Goodwill. You wouldn't know what to do with a real computer anyway, Dad said, ruffling Marcus's hair while barely glancing at me. 20 years later, that pattern hadn't changed. I sat in the corner of Dad's living room during his 60th birthday party, fingers flying over my laptop keyboard. The hum of productivity surrounded me while my family celebrated without me. They'd long ago stopped asking what I was working on. "Sarah's still on that computer," Aunt Linda whispered to Mom, loudly enough for me to hear. "At 32, you'd think she'd have figured life out by now." Mom sighed. "I've tried talking to her. She insists this internet company thing is going somewhere." Marcus stood in the center of the room, arm around his wife, Jennifer. Both radiated success. Marcus was a senior marketing director at a pharmaceutical company. Jennifer was a corporate lawyer. Their combined income was around $400,000 a year. Impressive, respectable, enviable. "Another beer, little sis?" Marcus asked, voice dripping with condescension. "Or are you too busy changing the world?" "I'm good, thanks," I said, eyes on my screen. "Still working on that app thing?" he prodded. "What is it this time, social media for cats? A dating app for tech nerds?" "Something like that," I said quietly. Jennifer joined him, wine glass in hand. Marcus told me, "You've been working on this for how long now?" 8 years. She exchanged a look with Marcus, the kind that said poor thing. 8 years, Marcus repeated, shaking his head. "At some point you have to accept maybe this isn't your calling. How many failed startups is this now?" 3, I said. The other 2 hadn't failed. I'd sold them, for sums my family would never believe. But I'd learned that explaining only invited mockery. Dad clinked his glass, calling for attention. "I want to thank you all for coming to celebrate with me. 60 years old, surrounded by the people who matter most." He went around the room praising each family member. Marcus and his career, cousin David and his new house, Emma and her engagement to a dentist. Then he got to me. "And Sarah? Well, Sarah's still figuring things out. But we love her anyway." Polite laughter rippled through the room. I kept my expression neutral and my fingers moving across the keyboard. The afternoon dragged on. I responded to urgent messages from my CTO and investors while my family discussed mortgages and vacation plans. "I'm worried about her," Mom whispered in the kitchen. "She lives in that tiny apartment, drives a 10-year-old Honda, barely makes ends meet." Marcus owned a house at her age. "Some people just aren't built for traditional success," Aunt Linda replied. They didn't know about the downtown Seattle apartment building I owned. Or that the tiny apartment was a 2-bedroom penthouse I'd bought in cash. Or that my beat-up Honda was paid off while Marcus was drowning in a luxury lease. I'd kept my wealth hidden, because the moment they knew, everything would change. Around 6 p.m. Marcus approached again, this time with Dad, Uncle Robert and Cousin David in tow. "We need to talk," Marcus said, pulling up a chair. "An intervention." "About what?" I asked. "About your future," Dad said gently. "You're 32. You've been chasing this tech dream for almost a decade. Where has it gotten you?" "I'm happy with where I am." Marcus laughed. "Happy? You're broke, living in a shoebox, driving a junk car. You're not even dating. You spend all your time on projects that never pan out." "My projects are doing fine." "Fine." Uncle Robert leaned forward. "I looked up your company, Neuraloflow, right? The website looks like it was made in 2005. You have what, 12 employees? That's not a company, that's a hobby. Our real website was hidden behind enterprise security. And our 12 employees were actually 247 of the best engineers in the industry." Dad slid a business card across the table. "We got you an interview with Robert's company. IT department. $35,000 a year. It's stable. It's real." Marcus crossed his arms. "It's time to grow up. Stop pretending you're the next Steve Jobs. Most startups fail, Sarah. 90% of them. The dream's over." "I appreciate the concern," I said, "but I'm not interested." Marcus scoffed. "Because you're delusional. You really think this garage startup of yours is going somewhere?" "It already has," I said. "Prove it," he snapped. "Show me one shred of evidence Neuraloflow is real." I could have. I had the Series C funding documents, the Fortune 500 contracts, the patents. But instead I said, I can't. Not yet. The room erupted in laughter. Not yet, Marcus mimicked. You've lost 8 years, Sarah. No savings, no house, no husband, no kids, no career. If that's not failure, what is? The assumption almost made me laugh. My net worth was higher than everyone in that room combined. Success looks different for different people, I said quietly. Marcus went red. Success is success. Money, stability, respect. You have none of those things. I stood, closed my laptop and tucked it under my arm. Where are you going? Dad asked. Home, I said. I have work to finish. Marcus followed me to the door. Last chance, Sarah. Take the job, or we're done pretending your little startup is real. I turned to him. Okay. Okay, what? You can stop pretending. I left before he could respond. The drive home was silent. My phone buzzed with messages from my leadership team. CTO, Google's final offer is on the table. Board meeting tomorrow at 9. CFO, all investors approved. It's happening. General counsel, acquisition documents ready for signature. Tomorrow the biggest day of my life would arrive. Google's $3.8 billion acquisition of Neuraliflow. The deal had been in negotiation for 4 months under strict NDA. 8 years of 18-hour days. 8 years of ridicule. And tomorrow it would all become public, undeniable, irrefutable. Around midnight Marcus called. I ignored it. He called again. And again. Finally I answered. I'm sorry, he said. I was too harsh earlier. We're just worried about you. You're wasting your life on this fantasy. I'm not going to crash and burn. You already have, he said softly. Even Mom and Dad think you might need professional help. Professional help? A therapist. Someone who can help you accept reality. I looked out over the Seattle skyline. Somewhere out there, the largest tech company in the world was preparing to write me a check for $3.8 billion. I appreciate your concern, I said. I'll think about it. Then I hung up. The next morning I dressed carefully. Black suit, minimal jewelry. At 8:45 I logged into the secure video call. 23 faces appeared. Our board, Google's acquisition team, investors and lawyers. Good morning, everyone, I said. Let's make history. 45 minutes later the vote was unanimous. At 9:43 a.m., the acquisition was officially approved. At 9:55, Google's PR team released the statement. By 10:02 my phone exploded, calls, texts, emails, headlines. And somewhere across town my brother Marcus was probably reading the news. Google acquires Neuraliflow for $3.8 billion. Founder Sarah Thompson calls it, just the beginning. Former colleagues, old classmates, even people I hadn't spoken to in years flooded my phone with calls and messages. The first headline appeared on TechCrunch. Google acquires Neuraliflow in $3.8 billion deal. Largest tech acquisition of the year. Then came Forbes. Meet Sarah Chin, the 32-year-old founder behind Google's biggest bet on AI. The Wall Street Journal followed. Neuraliflow sale signals major shift in natural language processing technology. By 10:15 a.m. I was trending on Twitter. My phone rang again. Sarah, are you seeing this? There's a tech company with your name. That's my company, Mom. Silence. Your company? Yes. Neuraliflow. The one I've been working on for 8 years. But the news says it's sold for, they're saying $3.8 billion. Yes. I could hear her breathing hard on the other end. Mom, I need to go. I have interviews scheduled with CNBC and Bloomberg. Wait, Sarah, I don't understand. I'll explain later. Really? I have to go. I hung up. The media requests were overwhelming. Every major publication wanted an interview, but I'd already committed to a live segment with CNBC at 2 p.m. At 1:30 I drove to their Seattle studio. The producer met me at the door wide-eyed. Miss Chin, we're so excited to have you. The story's blowing up, you're everywhere. The interview was straightforward. The anchor asked about the technology, the acquisition, and what was next. You're 32 years old, she said. What would you tell young entrepreneurs watching right now? I'd say success rarely looks the way people expect it to. Trust your vision, even when no one else can see it. By the time I left the studio, the story had gone fully viral. Business Insider ran a profile titled, The billionaire founder nobody saw coming. Sarah Chin's journey from garage startup to Google's biggest acquisition. My phone rang again. Marcus. I answered on speaker while driving. Sarah. His voice was tight. I saw the news. I figured you might. Is it real? Yes. 3.8 billion? You've been. This whole time you were building a billion-dollar company. Yes. Long silence. Why didn't you tell us? Would you have believed me? He didn't answer. Because we both knew the truth. Marcus, I need to go. I have a call with my financial advisors in 10 minutes. Sarah, wait, I'm sorry. For yesterday. For everything. I didn't know. You didn't know because you never asked. You decided what my life was worth without ever looking at it. I'm sorry. I know. I'll talk to you later. I hung up. After the storm. Over the next week the story kept growing. Forbes published a full feature. Inside Neuraliflow, how Sarah Chin built AI's most valuable startup in obscurity. The article revealed everything my family never knew. How I'd founded the company at 24, raised money from top-tier investors, and developed technology now used by 47 Fortune 500 companies. It mentioned how I'd turned down acquisition offers from Amazon, Microsoft, and Apple before accepting Google's bid. And then the detail that stunned everyone. After the acquisition, my net worth was estimated at $2.1 billion. One of the youngest self-made female billionaires in the country. My family's reaction came in waves. First, shock, endless calls and texts of disbelief. How is this possible? Why didn't you tell us? Then, guilt, especially from Marcus. Long voicemails filled with apologies, regret, and forced pride. Then requests. Distant relatives wanted to reconnect. Cousins wanted career advice. Uncle Robert wanted to discuss investment opportunities. I didn't respond to most of them. The visit. 2 weeks later, Mom showed up at my apartment. My real apartment. Sarah, she said when I opened the door. Why didn't you tell me? She stepped inside, staring around at the hardwood floors, floor-to-ceiling windows, and the view of Lake Union. You've been living here, this whole time? 3 years. But you always said you had a studio apartment. You assumed I had a studio. I never corrected you because it didn't matter. She sat down on the couch looking lost. I don't understand. Why hide it? Why let us think you were struggling? Because I wasn't struggling. I was building something. And every time I tried to talk about it, I was mocked, dismissed, or pitted. Eventually, I stopped trying. We were worried about you. No, Mom. You were embarrassed by me. There's a difference. He started crying. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't comfort her. I wasn't cruel, but I wasn't warm either. This wasn't about making her feel better. What happens now? She asked. Now I decide what comes next. I have offers from 6 companies who want me on their boards. I'm considering a new venture. VC firms want me as a partner. And your family? I thought about that. About the intervention, the job offer, the laughter. I haven't decided yet, I said. The party'd over. Dad's 60th birthday, again. He wanted a do-over now that the truth was out. I arrived late. The party was in full swing. The moment I walked in, the room went silent. Marcus approached cautiously. Sarah, thanks for coming. Happy birthday, Dad. He hugged me awkwardly. I'm so proud of you. I've always been proud of you. That was a lie, but I let it pass. The evening was surreal. People who'd ignored me for years suddenly couldn't stop asking questions. Uncle Robert cornered me by the drinks. So, Sarah, maybe Neuraliflow's technology could. Neuraliflow belongs to Google now, I interrupted. I don't control it. Right, but maybe you could. No. His face fell. I'm not using my connections to benefit people who spent years telling me I was wasting my life. I walked away. Marcus found me on the porch, drink in hand. I mean it, he said. Everything I said before, I was wrong. I know. I'm trying to apologize. I know that too. But an apology doesn't erase 8 years of contempt. He flinched. What do you want me to say? Nothing. You already said it all. You showed me who you are, Marcus. That doesn't change just because the numbers are bigger now. I was worried about you. No. You were embarrassed by me. You wanted me to fit into your definition of success so you wouldn't have to explain me to your friends. He couldn't argue because we both knew it was true. Can we start over? I don't think so, I said quietly. You called me a failure. You said I didn't matter. You staged an intervention to push me into a $35,000 a year IT job because you thought I was delusional. You don't get to rewrite that. Inside, my younger sister Emma found me. You okay? I'm fine. No, really. It's weird, I admitted. Everyone treating me differently now. But it's clarifying. How? Because I finally know where I stand. I know who supported me when it mattered, and who only cares now that it's visible. She nodded. I should have defended you more. Yes, I said simply. You should have. A different kind of success. Weeks passed. The media frenzy didn't stop. I gave interviews to Forbes, Fortune, and the Wall Street Journal. I spoke at Stanford and MIT. VC firms offered me partnerships. My family kept reaching out. I stayed polite but distant. 3 months after the acquisition, I started my next company, not for money but for passion. This time I surrounded myself with people who valued vision over validation. On my 33rd birthday, Marcus emailed me, a long apology full of remorse. I replied, I appreciate the apology, but the relationship we had is gone. Maybe we can build something new, but it won't look like what came before, and that's okay. He wrote back, I understand. I'm sorry it took losing you to see what I lost. My parents tried harder. Dinners, visits, small attempts at closeness. I let them in, just not all the way. They'd made it clear what they thought of me when they believed I had nothing. I couldn't forget that just because everything had changed. The story resonated because it wasn't just about money. Hundreds of people wrote to me about families who dismissed their dreams, who thought real jobs meant giving up on passion. I became an accidental symbol for those who succeed despite doubt, not because of support. In interviews, I stayed measured. Family relationships are complicated, I told Forbes. Sometimes the people who love you most are also the ones who understand you least. Learning to trust your own vision, even when everyone thinks you're wrong, is one of the hardest and most important skills you can develop. The article ran with the headline, Sarah Chin on building a billion-dollar company while her family begged her to get a real job. 3 years later, I ran into Marcus at a coffee shop. He was with his daughter, Sophia, 10 years old now. Aunt Sarah, she yelled, running to hug me. I saw you on TV. Daddy says you're super smart and built a computer company. Something like that, I smiled. Marcus approached slower this time. Good to see you, he said. You too. Sophia's school is having a career day. She wanted to know if you'd come talk to her class. I looked at my niece's hopeful eyes. I'd like that, I said. It was a small bridge, but it was something. Because yes, I'd succeeded. The company was sold. The validation was complete. The numbers were undeniable. My family had been wrong about everything. But success tasted hollow when eaten alone. And while I couldn't rewrite the past, maybe I could build something new. Something honest, something that didn't require me to shrink to make others comfortable. Email me the details, I told Marcus. I'll check my schedule. Sophia's smile made it worth it. 3 years after the acquisition, Neuraliflow's technology powered billions of devices. I'd founded 2 more companies, sat on 5 corporate boards, and mentored dozens of young founders. My relationship with my family remained complicated. We saw each other, but the distance stayed. Maybe it had always been there. The real moral wasn't that I proved my family wrong. It was that I proved myself right. That mattered more than any amount of money. Though admittedly, the money made the point undeniable.